Christian theology did not develop overnight. From Paul's epistles to the writing of the Gospels, and then all the way down to the Nicene Creed, Christian theology was not something that was agreed upon. Christian theology was an evolution of ideas. And some of these ideas, such as the Trinity, salvation, heaven and hell, and the nature of Christ, are ideas that were not decided upon overnight. These things developed over time. The region of the Roman Empire, known as Bithynia and Phrygia and Thrace, northern Macedonia, Pergamum, where the 7 churches of Asia in the book of Revelation are. These are the main hot spots for Christian theology. These are where the church fathers lived and debated. These are Greek-speaking people. And I want to talk about where they came from. Why is it that Christianity has very different ideas than Judaism does? Could it be that the Greek world has just as much influence on Christianity as the Jewish world does? So what was happening in this part of the world before Christianity? The popular religions of this region was Orphism and the religion of the Great Mother and Attis. The popular philosophy at the time, Middle Platonism, which is a combination of Stoicism and Platonism, with some influences of the Peripatetic school of Aristotle and Epicurean thought. One of the best sources for Phrygian is from Strabo, who wrote in the 1st century with a wealth of knowledge and information. He talks about the rites of the Phrygians coming from the ancient Minoans, ancient Crete. Let's take a look at what Strabo has to say about Phrygia. The Corinthians are called divinities, or the attendants of the gods, by those handing down Cretan and Phrygian matters, which are interwoven with certain sacred rites, some of which are mystical and some otherwise, about the rearing of the child Zeus on Crete, and the celebration of the secret rites of the mother of the gods in Phrygia, and the region of the Trojan Ida. The variation in these accounts is such that some show the Corinthians to be the same as the Corybantes or the Cabieri, and the Idaean dactyls, the hand of Sabazios. Speaking in general, for the most part, they are all inspired and Bacchic, with martial dances, uproar, noise, cymbals, drums, and arms, as well as the flute and cries, causing fear through their sacred rites in the manner of religious servants. These rites are considered to have something in common, those of the Samothracians, which is a mystery religion in the 1st century, and a number of other places, because the divine servants are said to be the same. But any such topic of investigation is theological and not alien to the speculation of the philosophers. Plato, in his Phaedon 61, and the Pythagoreans called philosophy music, and they say that the cosmos is constructed according to harmony, assuming that every form of music is the work of the gods. Thus, the Muses are goddesses. Apollo is the leader of the Muses, and everything poetic is properly praised. Similarly, they attribute to music the building of character, as everything that improves the mind is near to the gods. Most of the Hellenes attribute to Dionysus, Apollo, Hecate, the Muses, and by Zeus to Demeter, everything pertaining to secret rites, Bacchic or choral, as well as mystic initiations. They call both Dionysus and the divine leader of the mysteries of Demeter, Iacchos, the carrying of branches, choral dances, and initiations are common with these gods. The muses are set over the choruses, and Apollo over both these divination. But all educated people, especially musicians, are servants of the muses. And these, as well as those connected with divination, belong to Apollo. The initiated, torchbearers, and hierophants belong to Demeter. The Silenoi, satyrs, and Bacchanals, as well as those called Lenai, Thyiai, Mimelones, Naiads, and Nymphs, belong to Dionysus. These ceremonies, especially those sacred to Zeus, were performed on the island of Crete, with secret rites, such as servants as those who are around Dionysus, the satyrs. These were called choretes, young men who exhibited martial movements along with dancing, presenting the myth of the origin of Zeus, introducing Kronos as being accustomed to swallow his children immediately after birth, and Rhea attempting to keep her labor pains secret. For this, she took the choretes as helpers, with drums and other such sounds, and the noisy martial dance protected the goddess and would create panic in Kronos, secretly stealing the child away so that he would be given over to them to be carefully raised. Thus, the choretes, because they were young men doing this service, or because they raised the young Zeus, it is said both ways, were believed worthy of this name. Such are the Hellenes in regard to secret rites, the tribe of the Phrygians, and the Trojans living around Ida, honored Rhea, and worshipped her in secret rites, calling her the mother of the gods, the Phrygian and great goddess, as well as the Idaean mother, naming after the mountain in Crete. The Hellenes call her servants by the same name, choretes, but not from the same mythical tale, but another, as if there were certain assistants to the satyrs, call them Corybantes. The poets are evidence for these conjectures. Pindar, in his dithyramb, that begins, "Formerly there walked the song of the dithyramb, moving straight ahead," records the hymns about Dionysus, both the ancient and latter ones, and passing on from these he says, "The august and great mother, the whirling of the cymbals, begins among the loud exultation of the rattles and the torch kindled in the yellow pines." He shows the customs of the Hellenes around Dionysus and those of the mother of the gods among the Phrygians, related to each other. Euripides does the same thing in his Bacchae, bringing the Lydian together with the Phrygian because of their resemblance. But those who left Tmolos, the fortress of Lydia, my revelers, women, raise up their symbols native to the Phrygian city, inventions of myself and the mother of the gods. Oh, blessed is he who is fortunate and lives a pure life, preserving the rites of the great mother Cybele, and brandishing the thyrsus wreath with ivy. He who serves Dionysus becomes the Bacchus. Bring down Bromios, the son of a god, the god Dionysus, from the mountains of Phrygia to the wide streets of Hellas. Again, in the following, he weaves in Cretan matters. O inner room of the choretes, sacred interiors of Crete, giving birth to Zeus in the cave, where the three-helmeted Corybantes invented for me the drum stretched with hide and mixed in intense Bacchic frenzy with the sweet-sounding breath of the Phrygian flutes, placed in the hands of Mother Rhea, make the noisy Bacchic shout. maddened satyrs obtained from the mother Rhea, and added them the third-year dances that praised Dionysus. Euripides in Palamedes, the chorus says, "Of the hair of Dionysus, who rejoices on Ida with his dear mother, with the Iachic drums. They bring together into one Silenos, Marsyas, and Olympus, as the historical inventors of flutes, again associating the Dionysiac and Phrygian matters. Often they confuse Ida with Olympus, making them resound as the same mountain. There are 4 peaks of Ida, called Olympos, near Andantria, and there is the Mysian Olympos that borders Ida. But it is not the same. At any rate, they invented suitable names for the flute, and for the noise of the rattles, cymbals, and drums, and for the shouting, the Bacchic cries, and the foot stomping, as well as the servants, choral dancers, psalmists, and the attendants of the sacred rites. The Cabieri, Corybantus, Pans, satyrs, calling the god Bacchus, and calling Rhea Cybele. Sabazios is also Phrygian, in a way the child of the mother, as he too transmitted Dionysiac matters. Similar to these rituals are those among the Thracians, among whom the Orphic ritual began. The Athenians, just as they continue to be hospitable to other foreign ways, are so in regard to the gods. They admitted so many foreign rituals, especially Thracian and Phrygian, that they were ridiculed for it. Plato records the Bendaean and Demosthenes on the crown. The Phrygian, when he attacks the mother of Aeschines, and the man himself for being with his mother during her initiations, joining her in leading the revels, and often calling out, Iwa, Iwa, Sabao, Sabao, and Hais, Attis, which belong to the Sabazia and the mother, always adding myth to their accounts. It is not easy to solve accurately all the enigmas, but if their greater numbers of myths are near to divine inspiration, rituals, and prophecy, in such a way also is enthusiasm for the arts, especially the Dionysiac and Orphic rites. So the native religion of what became Christendom, the origins of Roman Christian, Eastern Roman Empire, was this Phrygian religion surrounded around the great mother of the gods, but also this character named Sabazios, whose name some people think might have a connection with Saba, or the Sabbath. The Byzantine Greek Encyclopedia from the 10th century states that Sabazios is the same as Dionysus. He acquired this form of address from the rite pertaining to him, for the barbarians called the Bacchic cry Sabazian. Hence, some of the Greeks too follow suit and cry Sabasmos, thereby Dionysus becomes his father Sabazios. They also used to call Saboi those places that had been dedicated to him as Bacchans. Demosthenes, Athenian orator, in his speech on behalf of Tisiphon, mentions them. Some say that this Saboi is the term for those who are dedicated to Sabazios, that is, to Dionysus, just as those dedicated to Bacchus are Bacchoi. They say that Dionysus and Sabazios are the same. Thus, some also say that the Greeks called Bacchoi Saboi. In 139 BCE, Romans kicked out the Jews from the city, and according to Valerius Maximus, they wrote that Gnaeus Hispalis, the praetor, in the year of the consulate of Marcus Populus Lanus, ordered that the astrologers, by an edict, leave Rome and Italy within 10 days, since by a fallacious interpretation of the stars they protrude fickle and silly minds, thereby making profit out of their lives. The same praetor compelled the Jews who attempted to affect the Roman custom with the cult of Jupiter Sabazios to return to their homes. Some of these Romans identified Yahweh Tsavaot, which is Yahweh, Lord of the Host, as Jove Sabazios. This also is repeated by Plutarch, who maintained that the Jews actually worshipped Dionysus, and that the Sabbath was the festival of Sabazios.